Across history, there are moments when people claim they felt it first. A flicker in the air, a whisper beneath the radio static, a strange rhythm inside ordinary days. Some call it coincidence, others call it destiny trying to get our attention. Tonight I want to begin with a simple question for each of you. When did you first notice the signal? Guess one, let me start with you. When did you first notice something unusual in the pattern of events around us?
It wasn't dramatic at first. No thunder, no cosmic trumpet. Just little things. Predictions missing the marks. Stories refusing to follow their usual endings. It felt like the universe had started editing itself mid-sentence. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Then the coincidence began arriving on schedule. That's when I realized something had changed. The signal wasn't loud. It was definitely there.
The people resist the idea that anything mystic or mystical is happening at all. When did you notice something strange? Guess two.
Honestly, I noticed when the explanations stopped working. You can explain one weird event, you can explain two, but eventually the pattern starts behaving like a conversation instead of random noise. You ask a question, reality responds with something oddly specific, and suddenly the world feels less like a machine and more like someone tapping on the glass from the other side. I guess that's when I started paying attention.
Some traditions claim that signals appear whenever a new myth is forming. When did you first feel that kind of shift? Guess three.
Late at night. The kind of hour when the world is quiet enough to hear its own gears turning. I noticed stories repeating in strange places. Different people, different countries, but somehow the same themes appearing again and again, like fragments of a larger script. That's when I realized something important. Signals rarely arrive as answers. They arrive as questions disguised as coincidences. And if enough people start asking the same question, a myth is usually about to be born.
So tonight we have three possibilities. Maybe the signal is coincidence, maybe it's pattern recognition, or maybe it's something older, something that appears whenever history prepares to turn the page. But this leads us to the next question. If a signal really is appearing, who is it meant for? Breaking developments from the narrative labor market tonight. After centuries of hazardous work conditions, unpaid hero appearances, and repeated castle sieges, representatives from several major fairy tale kingdoms are formally requesting union recognition. To discuss this unprecedented development, we welcome Lady Briar Rose, representing the Enchanted Workers Guild. Sir Ledger the Bard, historian of heretic contracts, and the Big Bad Wolf, appearing today as a freelance narrative consultant. Let's begin. Question 1. When dragons begin filing paperwork instead of breathing fire, is it the end of the fairy tale or the beginning of accountability? We'll start with you, Lady Briarrose.
Well, for centuries, our stories have demanded impossible standards. Curses without breaks, spindles without safety warnings. We simply ask for a sustainable narrative environment.
Historically speaking, fairy tale labor has been dangerously unregulated. Glass slippers, enchanted forests, poisoned fruit, none of it meets modern compliance standards, not to mention OSHA.
Look, I just want hazard pay every time a woodsman busts through a wall.
Are we witnessing a rebellion of storybook characters or a natural evolution of myth?
Well, stories change as their listeners change.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Narrative was once centered on, mere survival. Now they negotiate workplace dignity.
Also, I've been typecast for 400 years now.
If knights and witches unionize, who negotiates the terms? The storyteller or the characters themselves?
We propose a council of narrative participants.
This could represent the first democratic mythology system.
Honestly, I just wanted to play the librarian once.
Is this the end of the traditional hero's journey?
Oh no. It's the beginning of a hero's lunch break.
Yeah, even heroes require benefits.
Dental plans would be nice.
And if fairy tales gain bargaining power, what happens to happily ever after?
Happily ever after becomes contractually defined.
Yeah, narrative closure with benefits.
Maybe fewer torches on pitchforks.
Negotiations continue tonight across the Enchanted Realms. Whether this marks the end of the old fairy tale order or the birth of something stranger remains to be seen. Stay tuned. Our next story comes from a coastal region where an unscheduled mythological incident has triggered intense debate among narrative authorities. Earlier this week, a young woman entered the sea for a swim on a warm summer afternoon. Her clothes were reported stolen by an opportunist octopus, which was then immediately eaten by a shark, leaving the swimmer asking one simple existential question: what do I do now? To analyze the narrative consequences, we welcome Lord Edworthy of Devon, eyewitness to the event, Dr. Marina Tidelock, marine mythologist and professional narrative spiritualist in story structure anomalies. Let's begin. When an octopus steals clothing and fate sends a shark moments later, are we witnessing coincidence or a myth attempting to right itself?
Well, now from where I was standing, it looked very much like the scene prophecy.
Marine ecosystems occasionally produce symbolic events.
Of course, from a narrative standpoint, this is a classic mythic escalation.
If the octopus acted as a trickster and the shark as sudden judgment, what role does the swimmer play in this unfolding story?
The bewildered protagonist, I should think.
Perhaps the sea has chosen her for a transformation narrative.
Or simply the universe demonstrating its slapstick timing.
Does the disappearance of the clothing represent loss, liberation, or an unexpected call to adventure?
Well, it certainly caused a fair bit of confusion on the beach.
And symbolically speaking, garments often represent identity.
Well, in that case, it means the character is now in Act 2, whether she likes it or not.
If nature begins improving stories without author approval, who regulates the narrative?
I'm not entirely certain it can be regulated.
The sea really submits paperwork.
Which is precisely why myth exists.
And finally, if a shark eats the evidence of the event, does the story disappear or become legend?
It becomes legend immediately.
Especially if witnesses keep telling it.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, we may very well be watching the birth of a coastal folktale.
A strange afternoon at the shores. An octopus with questionable motives. A shark with impeccable timing. And somewhere tonight, a new story is forming. You're listening to Stir the Fallout. Stay with us.